If you're successful on paper but exhausted in reality, if you go to work, do what's asked of you and still feel like none of this really matters, if everyone around you seems to be coping and you're wondering why you're struggling, then this video is for you. Because burnout isn't a personal failure, it's not weakness, and it's not a sign that you're broken. Burnout is a signal, and today I want to show you why you feel stuck and how people like you move from burnout to belief, to having agency over your life again. Hi, I'm Dr. Finbar McGrady. Now, I burned out as a GP 15 years ago, but I recovered and I discovered real joy in medicine again. You're in the right place if any of this sounds familiar. You feel stuck. Your confidence is taking a hit. Sometimes you stay quiet because everyone else seems smarter, or you're exhausted, not just tired, but deeply tired to the bone, and you don't feel like your work matters so much anymore, like you aren't as effective as you used to be, or you feel misunderstood, or that your work doesn't really count. You dread going into work and you become cynical. You think nothing ever changes around here. This system is broken. And here's the part that most people don't say out loud. You look around and think to yourself, everyone seems to be coping, so I should probably just get on with it. And you do, you get on with it. But inside, you know that something's not right. A lot of high achievers, especially doctors, live here in this zone, and almost nobody in medicine talks about it. Here's the reframe that changed everything for me. Burnout is not about working too hard or overwork. It's about losing agency, your autonomy, your ability to choose your own future. It's what happens when you feel either trapped or you feel powerless or you become reactive. You feel like life is happening to you instead of you controlling it. And most people in burnout aren't lazy. They're not unmotivated. They're stuck in this reactive mode. And there's a huge difference between reacting to your life and responding to it. When I was burning out, I felt like we were putting out fires at work all the time, reacting from one crisis to the next, hoping that the next time would be different, but it never did settle. Reaction is autopilot and lacks self-awareness, whereas response is choice and requires you to be fully aware. And the moment you realize you still have choices, even small choices, everything begins to get slowly better. Because although you might not think it, you have more control than you believe right now. We always have choices. So here's my story. I was a GP full-time. I was exhausted, had no joy in my work anymore. And every morning driving into work, I had this pain in my gut, constant sort of heaviness, and I became increasingly cynical. I blamed the system, I blamed the workload, and if I'm honest, I started blaming the patients as well. I felt like my skills were being wasted, like I was on a hamster wheel, just running faster every year with no sense of progress or meaning. And here is the dangerous part. I thought this is just how it was. I thought this is medicine, this is adulthood, this is responsibility. So I just got on with it. Sort of just coping, just about, until it became too much. Now, a friend had emigrated as a GP to Australia, and that got me thinking, well, if he can do it, I can do it too. So I took a sabbatical. I went to Australia with my wife and 4 young kids. And during that sabbatical, one day, sitting quietly, something hit me out of the blue. The patients here in Australia are exactly the same as those back home, but they don't seem to be annoying me. I'm not blaming them as much. And suddenly I had this realization. It was never the patients, it was me. Not because I was weak, but it was because I was burnt out. I was stuck in this reaction mode back home, and having the space in Australia allowed me to see out. So here's the first principle I teach anyone who feels stuck. You can't think your way out of burnout while you're still in the middle of this stress. Your nervous system has to settle before you can become clear. Burnout narrows down your thinking and it removes all the options and choice. Clarity comes after space, not before it. For me, Australia created that space. But you don't need to fly across the world. You need moments where you step out from all the noise and stress. You could go walking, running, getting out into nature, just having some quiet, reflective time. Your brain produces thoughts, but it doesn't know which ones are true. You are not your thoughts. And when you slow down enough, your intuition will get louder. Once I had space, my beliefs started to change. Beliefs like, I'm just a GP, or I don't have any options here, or I can't do anything about this system. And then doors started to appear. A course in skin cancer medicine, a weekend that changed my career trajectory. Later, someone said to me, why don't you do some private dermatology sessions? And my first thought was, I can't, sure, I'm just a GP. And he looked at me and said, what does that matter? Patients want an outcome. If you can provide that, if you're good enough to do that, well then you're able to do that. And that sentence changed my life. So I have a rule now. When I see a door slightly open, I push on it. Before, every door felt locked and heavy, or that I shouldn't have been near them. I was forcing things. Now, when something feels right, feels aligned, it flows. That mindset shift led to starting my own clinic, having more autonomy, more meaning, joy, and yes, financially things are better too. But none of that came from chasing money. It started with taking action. Action then changed my beliefs and identity, which created agency, which led to further positive action. And this positive cycle of action, beliefs, identity kept going on. So let's talk about coping now. When I was burning out, I reacted to everything. I have to admit, by Wednesday night, I'd open a bottle of wine, Thursday another, and then because Friday was next day, then the weekend, same pattern. Sunday night was one more because Monday was coming. Then Monday and Tuesday, I'd be good until Wednesday again. I'm not proud of that now. I didn't feel like it was a choice, it was a reaction. Responding is different to reacting. Responding starts with awareness. Awareness of what I'm feeling. Where do I feel it? What do I actually need right now? As doctors, we absorb a lot. Patients would have left my clinical room feeling lighter, and I left feeling heavy. I was empathetic, but I didn't know how to release it. Compassion helps without absorbing. Empathy absorbs without protection. I think of it like an enzyme. It speeds up a reaction rather than being changed by it. That's what we want to get to. That's healthy detachment. Responding is saying, I feel stressed. What response will help me long term? Not numbing with alcohol or something else, not suppressing your feelings or mood, but choosing, making a choice. Burnout is often tied to identity. For years, I was the triathlon guy. I was winning races and that's who I was. And when I stopped, I kind of felt weird, a bit anxious. Who am I if I'm not that? Then I realized something important. Nobody cared. We build prisons in our own minds with labels that nobody else is enforcing. You're not just your job. You're not one role. You are allowed to evolve and change. Honesty is the key. What do you want? Not what do you think is expected of you. Not what looks good on paper. Honesty leads to freedom. If you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Burnout is not the end of the road. It's the moment before agency. You don't need to blow up your life. You don't need to have all the answers right now. You need awareness. And to have awareness, you need space. And you need the courage to respond, not react. I've written about this more deeply in my book, The Accidental Ironman, which is about my journey from burnout to believing in myself and learning how to respond to life instead of being ruled by it. If this resonates with you, you can order the book. I'll put a link below. You have more control than you think. Choose response over reaction and then see what doors start to become visible to you and push on those. I'll see you in the next one.